folks, Olympus visionary photographer Jamie MacDonald here with another screencast. Today's screencast is going to cover processing a nighttime photograph. This photograph was taken in mid-Michigan on a clear November night, as you can see by all the stars in the sky. The only problem is that it was taken in close proximity to a small town, and that has given us a lot of light pollution. You can see in the image we've got some streaks here, and that's actually some high altitude thin clouds that were just creeping in, and they actually reflected the lights from the city, and you can see that it's really evident down here in the lower portion of the image where it's really blown out. But I think we can salvage this image and make it something that's a lot more interesting than what we see here. And speaking of interesting, I chose this location just because there is a lot of foreground interest, and for me personally, when taking photographs of something like the nighttime sky or just a very interesting scene where you've got a lot of activity in the sky, whether it's clouds moving in or if it's a thunderstorm, what have you, I like to keep some foreground interest. A lot of people seem to forget to pay attention to what's in the foreground, and although this is kind of hectic and chaotic, it went along with the theme that I was going with, or the feelings that I was having about setting up for this shot, and that was the incredible amount of complexity that is the galaxy we live in, the universe. All these stars, there's so much going on, and actually this granary has a ton going on, and just I like the contrast between the two levels of complexity here. So enough about my thought process. Let's get to actually processing this photograph. First of all, you'll notice that this photograph is extremely orange. That's due in part to a couple of different things. Number one, we shot this at ISO 800 for 47 seconds. So it's a moderately high ISO for a decent amount of time. And what that did is it actually allowed some security lights that were behind me in this shot, even though they were not pointing directly at the granary, and they were actually quite a ways away due to the high sensitivity of being at ISO 800, and for the duration of the exposure, they actually exposed these grain silos pretty brightly, and they were, I do believe, a high pressure sodium light maybe, and that tends to give us this orange look here. So first of all, let's start by maybe doing a little bit of white balance. And if you haven't white balanced in Lightroom before, it's super simple. We've got a color picker over here. We click on that and grab it. And what you want to do is find something that you know to be white in your image. I know, because I've been to this location before, that this building actually is white aluminum paneling. So if I click on this, it applies the white balance. And again, because I frequent this place so much, I know that this color representation is accurate. But once we've done that, what's happened to our sky? It's blue, and that's not necessarily what we want with this image. So we're going to try and see if we can't fix that. There's a couple of ways we can go about it. And the way I'm going to go about it for this screencast is I'm actually going to use Nik Software's Viveza plugin. Most of the time, I'll export an image out straight into Lightroom, and then I'll work with the Viveza plugin within Photoshop. But today, we're not going to do that. We're going to actually export it straight into the Viveza plugin, the standalone plugin. I'm working with a TIFF file, and I keep the bit depth at 16-bit just because we want to capture as much information as we can. We want to be able to take advantage of all the information that's available in the raw file. So rather than switching to 8-bit and losing some, keep it at 16-bit, and we can have a lot more information to work with. There we are. Now we're loaded up into Viveza, and I've done a couple of different screencasts in the past using Nik Software's plugins. So you should be familiar with using the control points. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to throw a control point out here, and we're going to increase its size so that it encompasses the entire image. And and you can see right down here that our control point is picked up blue, and that's what we want to pick up. That's what we want to influence here. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I can probably go about it this way. I think we're going to drop all the color channels as far as they'll go into the negative side of the slider, and that should give us black. So let's start off by doing that. Let's darkening this up. Let's shift the hue 180 degrees from where we're at, and there you have it right there. I mean, relatively quickly we ended up with a black sky. The only problem that I have with the way that we did this is that we still have color cast on all the stars, and I don't know that there was really much of a way we could get around that. And I personally don't have a technique developed quite yet that would fix that. Again, it's something we could probably toy around with and see if we can't figure it out in another screencast. But for now, I'm just duplicating that initial control point so that we can get ourselves to a deep, deep black. And we'll see what happens if we duplicate it. We'll shrink it down. We'll drag it down here to this light blue. And I don't really care for how that worked out, so let's just get rid of that control point. And I think this is actually kind of interesting the way this looks now, but it's not quite where I want to be with it. So we'll just darken it up down here. I don't think we're going to completely get away from the light pollution that was caused by the town, but we can tone it down some, and that's what we're going to do here. Again, just simply by creating control points, finding a series of settings that work on those control points, and we just Command D on the Mac keyboard to duplicate that control point, and we keep placing them on areas of color that we want to affect. So we can hit save here. Actually, I don't want to save that yet. I want to see if we can't bring out just a little bit of detail here. We'll bump up the brightness just a smidge. Boost the contrast some. And the structure. There, I like that. So let's go ahead and save this and dump it back into Lightroom. And I do apologize for the humming sound that you hear. I've got quite a few external hard drives that are chugging along right now, so they are making some noise. Alright, here we are. I would consider this a successful edit. If you've got any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and again, don't forget to be a regular viewer on smallcamerabigpicture.com. We look forward to any comments and suggestions that you might have for us there. Until next time, folks, take care.